audition for one of the biggest talent competitions in the world. Here's what happened. Earlier this year, a casting director from America's Got Talent slid into my DMs saying he would love to submit me for the show and that he had never seen anything quite like my bottle walking on point act. I let him know I was actually on AGT 10 years ago with my husband Richard and we would absolutely love to come back, and that my bottle walking was actually a part of our duo acrobatic ballet act. The casting director was excited to hear that I was interested in coming back, but told me that this time they only really wanted me. Back in 2016, I had a rare neurological disorder called Parsonage-Turner syndrome. It created crazy imbalances in my body, so I really wasn't sure if this was something I could actually pull off on the biggest stage in the world. Even though this was a huge feat for me to undertake, I figured why not at least try to put together an audition video for the producers. So I did. And it took 18 tries for one successful take to be able to send to them. I didn't tell them this. When they got back to me excitedly about being interested in having me on the show, they mentioned the one catch, that I could not do it on the floor. I needed to be elevated, maybe on 2 ladders with a plank across. Instead of telling them how insane that sounded, my simple response was, anything's possible. And I got to work. I started with a single stack of plyo boxes, and on day 1, I broke a bottle. I continued to add height and add bottles until I finally got to my final form of 9 boxes and 10 bottles. Just so you have some sort of idea what my view is from above, let's go. Every day I would have to move the plyo boxes into this position, shim them so that they wouldn't wobble too much, and then proceed to face my fear of falling on a daily basis. I sent in my first finished rough draft of my act, and they loved it. But the execs had a special request. Instead of a popular song, they wanted me to use an epic You immediately popped in my mind because you are like the funniest person I know, and and I'm like, how do I get America to fall in love with me? Get some advice from David Ebert.
Yeah,
should I do
come
this?
to the right place.
Okay, have
Yeah.
I? Great.
As America's sweetheart, I'm happy to tell you how to make America fall in love with you. The audience is gonna know this, but we worked together at a tour bus on the streets of New York 10 years ago, and everything after that should be easy because you had to do basically what your act is on the streets of New York in all weather, like freezing temperatures. You had to do it no matter what was going on in the world, and you guys did that like, I don't know, 10 times a day?
Yeah.
So you did 3,000 performances in the toughest city in the world. The pressure's off. AGT is easy comparatively. You're not gonna get rained on.
That's right. That's right.
If you're able to go out there and just be who you both are, like day to day, people are gonna love you.
It's actually not us going on. It's just me.
Okay.
It's just me going on the show. So like, everything I've ever done has always been with Richard. It's Richard and Ashlee. We perform together, we do all of our amazing stuff. But this time it's just Ashlee and the floor.
Just think that America's gonna see right away who you are, and they're gonna see just how sweet you are. So even if you have trouble finding the words, just being yourself on that stage, they're gonna have to fall in love with you. No matter how far along you get, I'm gonna be just so proud to see you from home. And AGT is very lucky to have you on the show.
As time went on, I felt more and more comfortable with the height and came up with how I would come down off the bottles if I were to lose my balance. I'm intentionally not using the F word here because even now, mental thought of such things can create blockages, and facing one's fears with a clear mind is absolutely integral in this kind of performance. I practiced and practiced, and eventually it was time to make my way to LA. How many days until April 3rd?
It's 10 days until then.
It's official. 10 days left until AGT, and I'm still not packed, even though I leave tomorrow. Starting to pack, need to leave a lot of space for the bottles. But man, it's getting real. I had production order 3 of my plyo boxes for the show so that I could maintain some of the same viewpoints I was already used to. The stage guys built me a platform for below them, and it took me some getting used to with all the black around me, but some giant X marks with spike tape on the floor did the trick. To be honest, I had an absolute blast for those 2 days on set, and I was so lucky to be there with some of my favorite people ever. During my one on-stage rehearsal, they were practicing the cheers and boos for the upcoming show, and it was intense. I'm glad they had been doing it though, because it really prepared me for the next day.
It's all good.
And before I knew it, I was back again, preparing for the moment I would step on that stage and decide my fate in front of the world. Would I succeed in performing the craziest feat I had ever attempted in front of a huge live audience? Or would I break down for the entire world to see? On performance day, they let me have my setup one last time. I was not feeling my best, and honestly, I dreaded the worst. You can see me break down with nervousness here because it truly hit me. What if I fail? What if my failure leads to something even worse? But here we are, the final countdown, the moment I have been waiting for, the moment to step out on that stage and find out what happens right along with everyone else. Can I do it?
You made ballet so dangerous, which is something I never thought anyone would say.
I loved it. I thought you were absolutely fantastic. I also love to see you so emotional about it, you know? It shows us how much you really want this.
That's one of the most difficult acts I've seen for a long, long, long time.
But I did it. And I'm in competition with absolutely no one but myself. I couldn't be prouder of what I've been able to do because I literally thought it was impossible. Everything that I've ever done up until this point has been pretty controlled, pretty safe. I got up there and shook the platform a little bit when it was on stage this time for the show. And it was a little wigglier than it had been, but it was all because of me. You can't do bottle walking with extreme nerves and not shake. It's really sharp movements that can just make everything go down. I was just keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing. I didn't do it for anybody other than Rich and me And everyone who has helped me through this, like I honestly, had I gotten a no, I wouldn't have probably cared because I'm just like, they don't understand how hard it is. But this one, I was like, if I'm able to do this, and I did. On top of that, I knew I was about to embark on the craziest adventure of my life. America's Got Talent live rounds.